Okay, so here we are with another update on our plants. I'm starting in the front of the house. Obviously, here's our driveway. So to the right side of the house, we have these plants over here. So we've got that plant right there on our property is a pomegranate tree or bush. We've got various other plants in the front there, and then we've got some bamboo here. This is sweet potato, and I'll show you how big it is on the side of the yard. But first, let's go to this side of the front yard. So we have over here a bunch of our oyster plants, which we actually only planted 2 of these, if you can believe it, and they've just spread like this on their own. And they just pop up with these little itty bitty little pup-like things, and then they just keep spreading. So here we have my blueberry bushes. I've gotten some blueberries off of it, but I did just buy one of these recently, so it might not be until next year until I get you know, a decent amount of fruit all at one time, because they're still, you know, relatively young. There's our mango tree in the front. There's some hibiscus. They're doing well. All this stuff was already here. There's one of our palm trees. Only other thing that's new here is this tree, which is a starfruit tree. Again, this is relatively young. We did get starfruit off of it, but they never did ripen, so we'll see what happens this spring. And this starfruit tree is a very good producer. It produces multiple times a year, and it produces quite a large amount of fruit at one time. Here is this is a raspberry bush. Supposedly a Mysore raspberry is the only one that will really tolerate the Florida heat and humidity. So I had to go out and get this one because the other regular raspberry plants they did not like the heat and the humidity. It was just too much for them. So we got this guy. Haven't gotten any raspberries off of it yet. It's still relatively young. And then of course now it's winter time, so it's not really going to produce anything. So again, for this one we'll have to wait till next spring, see what happens. That bamboo plant that is here, that was actually over on this side of the house, in between the island and my car, but Jason was afraid that it was either on the sewer line or very close to the sewer line, so we decided to move it. So that's doing well in its new home. And if I walk back onto the other side of the house where the sweet potatoes are, I can show you how big this vine is. It's humongous. And there's a bunch of vines too. It's not just, this isn't one plant. We planted a bunch of different little vines here. So if we come over this way, you can see more sweet potatoes, and they get this pretty little purple flower on them too. That's pretty nice. So they get this little purpley flower. Sorry about the plane going over. Alright, and here are our bananas. So you can see they're doing well. Not ripe yet, but getting there, slowly but surely. So we have our 3 banana plants that are all doing very well. This is the only one that has bananas on it, but the other 2 are doing well. This one is, with the bananas, is a Cavendish, which is what you would buy in the grocery store. And you can see that we have the main plant, and then we have a bunch of little pups off of it, like this right here. This is from the pup. This isn't from the main plant. This one doesn't have many pups because we actually cut them off. I think on these other 2 plants we waited too long and they were too big, so we couldn't really cut them. So we'll see what happens. So you can see this plant right here. This is a pup right here, and this is the main. That's the main plant, and this is a pup. And what happens with the banana plants is they only flower once. So this main plant will flower, it will die, and then one of the pups will be the next one to flower. Then that one will die. That one will get pups, and the pups will carry on. So it's the plant only fruits once, and then it dies, and then it just, the pups every single year just take over and, you know, keep regenerating, and they're the ones that make the bananas. Okay, so further over here, now we have outside the garage, we have our brand new AC unit that we got. Some more hibiscus. We have a fig tree over here, more hibiscus. We have our mango plant that we got from seed. So we're gonna have to probably plant that in the ground pretty soon. I don't know that it's growing anymore because I think it might be too big for the pot now. So now in the backyard, we have some bamboo there. You can see how tall it's gotten. We've got our arekas on the side of the house and a cherry tree. You can see our tangerine tree that the birds, the sparrows, and the chickens like. And you can see one of the, there's one chicken right there laying down underneath the tree. And it's got a lot of fruit on it too, so we should get a good amount of fruit this year from the tangerine tree, so that'll be nice. And here's our sea grape, which really just took right off. It's pretty big. And we actually trim it from time to time too, and it still is that big. So we have our little area back here that we call the cove because it looks like a cove. We have another thing of bamboo, and this one is quite bushy and quite tall, which is nice because it's now starting to shade the house, or well, at least the lanai in the late afternoon. So that's good that we are finally getting some shade on some part of the house at least. We got some plants over here. This is another palm tree. It's called a Bismarck palm. This guy is a really slow grower, but doing good. So if we come over here into the cove, chickens like to hang out a lot over here. And you can see there's another one under there doing her thing. And all the mulch that you see under here, under this tree, the chickens did all that. We did not put any of this mulch under here. It's just from them kicking it around and spreading it, that it's all under the tree. There's the water bucket for the chickens. Here is our mango tree in the backyard, which that mango tree has really gotten big this year. Some more bamboo. I can show you how tall it is. Okay, and then we have down here, this is more sweet potato. We were actually cutting back the sweet potato vine in the side yard because it was getting kind of crazy, and we know the chickens like sweet potato, so we threw the vine back here thinking that the chickens would just eat it and that would be the end of it. But it actually took root and it started growing back here. So you can see there are some leaves that are picked at and stuff. So the chickens do pick at it a little bit, but not enough to keep it from rooting and growing there. So not much different on this side. We have another bamboo stand. It's pretty tall. We have a hibiscus here with a pretty flower on it, but I think the chickens like to eat the hibiscus, that particular hibiscus, so it's not too big. It's not doing as well as our other ones in the front and on the side. Here we have a loquat tree, which I believe is a type of citrus fruit. These plants, basically all the same, nothing really new in this part. That's our crepe myrtle, which is a deciduous tree, so that's why it doesn't have any leaves now. But it looks really beautiful in the spring and the summer, and it gets these really nice flowers on it. We have another fig tree back here, and I don't know, one we bought from a private seller, the one on the side yard. This one we bought from Lowe's. I don't know why this one is so much shorter and bushier and the other one is much taller and thinner. I'm not sure what the difference is. You can see if you get up close here, this one actually has figs on it already. The other one does not. So I don't know, we'll just have to keep an eye on it and see what happens. Now this is our avocado tree, which is really, really exploded. Still have not eaten an avocado from here. We did actually have a good amount of fruit on this tree this year, but we never got around to taking it off. Avocados are kind of difficult because they don't ripen on the tree, so it's kind of hard to know when to take them off and when to just leave them and let them grow longer. So we're still experimenting with that and still getting used to that. We've cut a couple of the fruit off, but they never ripened. They always just stayed really hard on the counter. So I don't know if we cut them too early or we did something else wrong, or I'm not really sure, but we're still experimenting with that one. You can see back here, we have, back there by the fence is another cherry tree. And over here, that's another sea grape, which is doing good. Back here, we have a pitch apple, which this thing got really big. Really, really big and bushy. Really big. And then the arecas that we have on this side of the backyard. Okay, and of course we have our coop and our nesting box and the little run area for the chickens. And we just put all this brush that Jason had cut this off of our trees and our plants in the backyard here, and we put it on top of the coop just to give the girls a little bit of extra shade this past summer. Because since the trees and plants that we have aren't quite mature enough yet, the coop and the run area are starting to get shaded, but they're not, they're not completely shaded all day in the summertime. So we thought maybe that would help out a little bit. I also planted some seagrass. I'm sorry, not seagrass. Lemongrass, I mean. I heard it was good for mosquitoes, so I planted a bunch of it over here by the coop. Because in the summertime, if you come over here at night, you get eaten alive. So I thought maybe planting the lemongrass might help a little bit. And it does. It smells amazing. You do have to kind of break the leaf open a little bit. It doesn't just have like a natural smell to it. You have to break it open and kind of get the oils inside of each leaf for it to really smell. But it's really, really loving this spot here, and it's really taken off. Then you can see our half-dead orange tree that still produces fruit. It's got a good amount of oranges on it, so we'll have to wait till those ripen, and they actually are still pretty good, even though the tree doesn't look like much. So that's basically it for the backyard, the yard tour. You can see right here on the coop, that little box. I don't know if you can see these little LED lights right here. When the automatic door goes down at night, the light comes on, so that way from inside all we have to do is glance out the window and we can make sure that we can make sure that the door has come down like it's supposed to, and that the chickens are, safe inside. Nothing can get in there and get them. So I think that is it. There's another chicken on the other side of the fig tree. So they're loving this cooler weather that we have. It's like 70. I think the high today is gonna be like 70. It's still nice and sunny. It's got a nice breeze. It's really, really nice out, and the chickens are definitely loving it. We see them out in the backyard a lot more, running around and exploring and pecking at things and stuff. Really, in the summertime, they spend most of their time underneath the tangerine tree because it's a lot. We tested it out. We took Jason's laser temperature reader and we tested it out under the tangerine tree. It is actually like 20 degrees cooler than it is outside, like out in the sun, not in the shade, not under the tangerine tree. So that's definitely, the chickens like that. And that's usually where they spend most of their summer. So it's nice to see them out and about and exploring a little bit more instead of them just being under the tree the whole time. And I'm sure they love it too, because they aren't as uncomfortable and they can get out and explore and do more things. So that's basically it for the backyard tour. So I will talk to you later. Bye.